Joining us, there's only one, Baldy. Baldy.
Hey.
Where's his open?
Where's the open?
We lost the opening.
Baldy needs his open.
We lost the opening
back there.
What do you mean we lost his open?
It's not on here. I can't find it.
Let's talk some football.
Oh,
Hey,
Baldy. Who's messing with the
It was on here the other day. It was on here the other day. It's not here.
Hey, cuz, where's the fine jar? That's a $5 fine for sure.
Pony up, kid. $5.
I'll put it in. That's my bad.
What in the world? You don't cold open a legend?
Especially in the day we're talking greatness.
Of all time. It precedes me every time I come on.
Sorry, Baldy. I apologize for that.
I'm going to go. I'm going to lose. You better run after the show's over.
I'm going to.
All right?
Yeah.
Because you are in some major trouble, Frazier.
Have Andrew drop down and do 20 right now.
Yeah. Do it. 20.
All right, I'll do it.
In the middle of the thing. JP, film it. All right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that is a huge mistake. But we have the man himself. So I was saying this. There's no way that you don't have a Willie Mays story.
Well, you're right. And I have an unbelievable story. I actually told to my girlfriend last night. And I don't know, like, my one buddy's going to get upset if I tell the story, but I'm going to tell the story. So I played football, college football, with Larry Doby Jr. His father, Larry Doby Sr., first black player in the American League. All right. And so I was best friends with Larry, still best friends with Larry. So in 1984, it's the summer. It's like this time. It's like, we're getting ready to go to camp. We got a month off. Larry calls and says, hey, I'm taking the Yankees Old Timers Day today. My dad is playing. So I want you to come to the game with me. So no, he lived in Montclair, New Jersey. I drive up to Montclair. We go across the bridge. We go to Yankee Stadium. So back then, Yankee Old Timers Day was 2 innings. All right. It preceded the game that day, Sunday afternoon. So there's Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, Larry Doby. I mean, you name it, they're out there, right? So anyways, they play their 2 innings. And so, these guys are older. They just want these guys to be unbothered, come back to the clubhouse, change, get out of there, no media. Except they allowed family to go back there. So Larry says, come on, let's go back and talk to Pops. So we get taken in. Now I'm 1984. I'm playing for the Cowboys. I'm in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
So Larry Doby Sr. is sitting there in front of his locker talking to Willie Mays. So Willie Mays sees me and he looks at me and he goes, yo, I used to look like you when I was young. I know what that's all about. He's paid me these compliments. So I start talking to Willie, saying, hey, hey, kid, we all practiced the basket catch, when we were kids. Like, we all played 500. We all played baseball. We all try to emulate. Anyways, I'm giving him all the platitudes, right? So he says to me, he goes, it's a hot day in July now. It's 95. So he says to me, he goes, hey, Brian, you like to drink beer? I go, yeah, of course. He goes, right behind me, we've got, all the Coors Light on tap. You can drink. We got all those bottled beers over there. We got all those canned beers. He goes, I'll make a deal with you. You can drink all the beer you want on this hot day if you'll do me a favor. I said, yeah, of course, Mr. Mays, I'll do you a favor. He goes, well, they've asked me to sign these 100 baseballs, but I got a tee time I really want to get to. How about if I sign the first baseball for you and you sign the other 99 baseballs for me? So I said, You got it. I signed 99 Willie Mays baseballs. I think I could still do the imitation autograph of his autograph.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's my Willie Mays story right there.
So wait, you sat there. Did you practice the Willie Mays? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he signed the baseball, so I got the pen. It was like practicing on paper, Plus, this didn't happen immediately. It happened probably, after he showered, got out of there.
Right.
Probably like 20 minutes later. So, him and Larry were cutting it up back and forth the way old timers cut it up. I'll never forget Larry Doby's like in the mirror and he's combing his hair, right? And Willie says to Larry, he says, "You have that." What did he say? He said, "You got that flyaway hair." And Larry said, "What flyaway hair?" He goes, "Yeah, it's just flying away." He goes, "You really, like, tearaway hair, something, whatever." He just jokes back and forth, man. It was fun.
Dude, like that, I knew it. I knew you would have a Willie Mays story. That is incredible.
In fact, I'm watching a hockey game last night, and I see across the crawl, Willie Mays, 93 years old, passes away. Immediately hit up Larry Doby. Immediately hit Larry up and go, "Man, it's a sad day for all of us baseball fans, Larry. Like all of us, like well, it all hit us. We all have, like, Willie Mays, Roberto Clemente, Hank Aaron, these were guys we all grew up with."
Yeah, like you explain to this the catch, right? Like that over the shoulder basket catch, like like he was known for this, that incredible, the greatest catch of all time, right?
Well, my first baseball game I ever went to, I'm from Pittsburgh. So my cousin, we're back visiting. I'm like 10 years old, 11 years old. And the game is the Pirates and the Giants. Juan Marichal against Steve Blass. Like it's a Saturday afternoon. It's the marquee pitchers. The Bucks are loaded. Willie Stargell, Rennie Stennett, Hebner. You go through the whole lineup, right? So, but the Giants, have they've got Orlando Cepeda. They've got Willie Mays. They're loaded too. And Willie Mays, like it's Clemente and Mays. Like we're sitting out there in $99.99, seats out in center field. And Willie Mays makes one of those basket catches, like over his shoulder, going to the warning path. And I'm looking at my cousin going, "I've been practicing that catch for like 5 years, man. Like I got to see the real guy do it himself."
What's nuts is that, like, what a great gift that is. And, here you are and you make football, your career. And the basket catch is like a receiver catch.
Yeah.
Like you think about the parallels between playing, and I just saw this from somewhere about how NFL coaches, like they love baseball players. Like Deshaun Jackson was a center fielder, and they love those receivers because the way they track a ball, and especially that basket catch was like a receiver.
Well, you're right. In fact, Richard Sherman and Deshaun, they played together, and it was Deshaun's dad. They both their fathers coached the team. And so like they were in Compton there, right in LA. They played baseball. But I used to say this all the time, cuz like I could tell almost immediately defensive backs who played baseball, those who did and those who didn't. Like because we all played 500, we all played, we all played baseball growing up, and we all, we reacted to the ball off the bat. Like we just started, going in the direction. We all could track a ball, and I see so many kids obviously don't, it's not the most popular sport anymore. Kids don't play baseball, and they don't get that kind of practice at tracking the ball. Not just that, but you see guys like Randy Moss. They always had late hands. Like they wouldn't, if you were playing man-to-man coverage on a Randy Moss, you never knew where the ball was because they never ran with their hands out there. Their hands just, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, these guys, they would just put their hands out there late and not give any defensive back any kind of a tip that they were tracking the ball at that time.
Yeah, that's brilliant. You mentioned something that's awesome. Played 500. 500 is a game. No, have you ever heard JP of 500? Okay, I didn't think so. 500, you know it, VG. 500 is you would be in the outfield and you try to catch the ball. There would be a bunch of kids and you're trying to catch the ball first before anybody. Yeah. That's a great game. I love that game, Baldy.
No, you just taking wax, with the ball in the bat, and you've got 6 kids out there, and we're all fighting for the ball. You get your 100 points for the catch or whatever. And if it was a ground ball, it's 50, whatever. Yeah. And the first one to 500, we would win. And so it was, I don't know how many. We played it all the time. So it's just inbred.
It's the greatest, dude. I can't believe you bring that up. Like, I love that game. That was such a
childhood games. It's one of those childhood games that we all probably played, and probably a game that nobody plays anymore.
No, in basketball, you probably played Rough House.
We played Rough House. We played Make It Take It. We played Horse. We played
Taps.
every one of those games.
Did you play Taps? Like they Make It Take It, Taps.
Yeah, we played Taps.
Yeah. I love all those games. They were the best. Like and that's the thing today, because everything with kids is so structured. Like it's practice and games, right? They don't mess around.
How about flipping the baseball cards?
Oh yeah.
Flipping baseball cards, like we're all trading cards like every day, playing marbles, like we were always, I don't know, we were always just entertained,
So you're going to love the theme of this show because it's right up your alley. The theme of the show today is the players that we love. Off of Willie Mays passing, the great players and the players we love, because ultimately we love the game, but we love the great players who have played it. And the NFL learned this lesson way back when you played during the strike. They tried replacement players.
1987.
And people didn't watch it. They hated it because we love players. And that was the great lesson to the NFL, that you just can't put regular dudes in Dallas Cowboy or Philadelphia Eagle jerseys and get people to watch it.
Well, Buddy Ryan, to his credit, wouldn't coach him. Buddy Ryan won't, if I don't have Reggie and I don't have Jerome and I don't have, Seth, I'm not coaching these guys. I'm coaching professional players. I'm not coaching these guys that I cut 2 months ago,
Where were you at that time?
I was in Dallas, and we were a right to work state, the state of Texas. So we weren't union driven the way Philadelphia was. So we had a lot of our players cross the picket line. I'd never crossed. I just wasn't going to do it. To me, it was about a team game. There were some star players that crossed for us. They came to Philadelphia during that strike. One of the games, there was 3 games we played in '87. One of those 3 games was the Eagles or the Cowboys visiting the Eagles, and I don't remember what happened, but it was just an ugly time, really ugly time in the NFL and the league. I think you're right. I think they learned a harsh lesson about this is a star-driven league. We're not putting guys in professional uniforms that aren't pros.
Yeah, it was something that it showed you how we love our players, right? And the love of the player is at the core. Sometimes I think as fans we lose our way, right? We get caught up in nonsense and hate and narratives and all this other stuff. But when you get down to the purity of the love of the player is where it all begins, right? It begins as young fans and athletes like you talking about Willie Mays and, being at the game with your brother and watching, him play baseball. That to me is at the core of our love of sports.
Well, my first player that I fell in love with was Johnny Unitas.
Wow,
so
Johnny,
I remember, Johnny Unitas is, he's obviously a legend. But, I was a Colt fan and I was a Johnny Unitas fan. And I'll never forget, literally sitting in front of the TV on a Sunday afternoon, and the Colts lost a playoff game. And I remember crying. I was probably 8 or 9. I remember crying watching Johnny Unitas lose. Now, I don't know if kids do that anymore. I know they have their fans and they have, they get attached. But, and it might be because of fantasy, different things. But that hurt me. My favorite player lost. And it just stuck with me, Johnny Unitas isn't supposed to lose. He's Johnny Unitas. He doesn't lose games.
No, I remember Julius Erving. I crying when the doctor lost and being upset, oh my God, and literally being in tears as a 10-year-old, right? And the Sixers lose to the Lakers, and Magic jumped center, and I remember crying like they lost the game. Like, are you kidding me?
Well, if we're celebrating, the stars of the game, like I will never forget my senior year in high school. I'm playing Massapequa High School, and we're playing in a Long Island semifinal basketball game, and we're playing this game at the Nassau Coliseum.
Wow.
Uniondale, Long Island, right? So we're playing in a big house. We probably have 12,000 people in there. Well, the Nets actually played a real game before us. So Julius Erving, Al Skinner, like I go through the roster. So anyways, we walk into the Nassau Coliseum. The Nets had just got done playing. I'll never forget this visual. If we had cameras back then, I would have this as my screenshot. So we're walking down in the bowels of the Nassau Coliseum to the locker room. And who walks out of the locker room but Dr. J and Al Skinner? Now, Dr. J had an afro back then when he played with the Nets that was out to here. And all you saw was the afro. Like, you know exactly who it was. But we all just stopped and froze when we saw the doctor walking out of that Coliseum, out of that locker room that day. Like it was like it froze you in your tracks.
I can only imagine. I mean, like, you talk about bigger than life. Like, you're playing a high school basketball, and I was explaining to the guys that, like, I was never a superhero guy. Like, I didn't care about whatever, Superman, Batman. That athletes were my superheroes. I think it's kind of the same with you.
Oh, no doubt. I remember, like, we would sneak into the Nassau Coliseum when the Nets were playing there. We would, they didn't have security at every door. So you wait for somebody to come out, and then we would run in, right? So we'd go into, I get in there early, like when the Nets would be playing like the Nuggets. So there'd be David Thompson on one side and Dr. J on the other. And they would have to do these dunk contests, literally, before the game in warm-ups. And, the doctor's doing these windmills. David Thompson is basically hitting his head on the rim. And we were just kids sneaking in there, like 15, 16 years old. And we're just watching this going, I can't wait to the day I can dunk and I can do something like this. Like, it was just, like, it was worth, the hour hitchhike to get to the Coliseum just to watch the pregame.
That's incredible. David Thompson. There was a picture, I will never forget, in Sports Illustrated.
North Carolina State.
Yeah, like where he was, like you said, hitting his head on the rim. He did a 360, and you see him, his hands backwards. He's facing the other, away from the rim, and his hands were clutching the rim after he just dunked a 360.
Yeah, we it was just unimaginable that somebody could have a 48-inch vertical leap.
Yeah,
like, it's just unimaginable. Like, that's when you started, like, paying attention to this kind of stuff. Like, people that had hops and vertical jump and, hitting their head on the rim. It was just like, it was like folklore. Did it really happen? Could it really jump high? Because there wasn't any highlights to really watch it, like there are now. So you just heard about it. And then you went down and tried to emulate it the best you could.
All right, let's play this game. All right, there's no right answers. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just your love, all right? And let's just go football. And I'm going to go position by position. And you just give me the blend of you guys you love and their greatness. And it could be from today to when you were a kid, all right? So let's go quarterback. You say Johnny U?
Well, I'll just say I had two favorites. It was Unitas and Staubach. Staubach was my first autograph I ever got. My dad got it for me. Went to Naval Academy, so I had a Staubach autograph when I was probably 11. But Johnny Unitas was the first football love, first quarterback.
Running back.
I probably would have to say I played with Eric Dickerson. He's the greatest, probably the greatest football player, natural football player I ever saw. It was just way too easy. I have to say Eric Dickerson.
Tight end.
I mean, I'm going to go back to the era. I'm going to go John Mackey.
John Mackey. Wow. Okay. Give me tackle.
I'd probably say Munoz. Anthony Munoz was, when I was coming through college, he was a couple years in front of me, and he went to Cincinnati. He was the gold. He's still the gold standard at that position.
How about guard?
Offensive guard, I'll probably have to say, I don't know. Probably tough to say.
I'll say Baldy for mine.
Okay, you could do that. I'll probably say Larry Allen was the greatest guard I ever saw.
Center.
Well, I grew up for 5 years in Minnesota, and I was a vendor at Metropolitan Stadium. So Mick Tingelhoff was the center for the Vikings.
That's a great name. Mick Tingelhoff.
I mean,
that's awesome.
I'll probably go just because of my age and the effect the Vikings had. Joe Kapp was the quarterback. Probably say Mick Tingelhoff.
The Meatlocker brought to you by ButcherBox. ButcherBox.com. Get the meats delivered right to your door. Receiver.
There's a lot, but I don't know. Like I thought Paul Warfield was like,
oh wow,
he was like a legend.
Yeah,
like he was a legend that probably people don't talk enough about. I mean, obviously there's Randy Moss, there's some of the greatest, Jerry Rice, but like Paul Warfield was just in that golden era of the 70s where, you went across the middle, you got your head just handed to you, and Paul Warfield did it so gracefully for so long in Cleveland. I'll just say Warfield.
Defensive tackle.
Well, I played against Randy White every day. So I wouldn't have never made the NFL if I didn't practice against Randy White, the manster, the half man, half monster, and what he did for me to make me a better player.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Half man, half monster.
Yeah.
Defensive end.
I'll never forget my rookie year. We went on strike in 1982. So the first 2 games I didn't play in, but we go on strike for 9 weeks. We come back. Our first game is on Monday night against Houston. So we're playing in the Astrodome. And they had like Louis Kelcher, playing nose tackle. I mean, I'm 265 pounds. Louis Kelcher is 340 after being out of football for 9 weeks. He's just this big, his head doesn't fit in his helmet. And I remember on the second play of the game, our center, Tom Rafferty, got concussed. So I'm the backup center. So they're like, you're in. So I go in there, this TV timeout. They're taking Rafferty off the field. I remember our Pro Bowl left tackle looks down at me, and he could tell, I'm kind of wide-eyed, nervous. I'm a rookie. And Pat Donovan, the left tackle, says, hey, you practice against the Manster every day. This is going to be nothing. Like, nothing. He was kind of right. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Wow, the Manster. All right, how about defensive end?
You got to say Reggie. I mean, there's nobody like Reggie. To this day, there's nobody
that
ever played a position that was like Reggie before Reggie, and there was nobody like Reggie after Reggie. Nobody. Nobody had that size, speed, and power, and just the ability just to physically dominate big people, to throw Stan Brock at 320 pounds or Tootie Robbins at 360 pounds and just throw them off the screen. Nobody's ever been able to do that.
Linebacker.
LT. LT is the greatest linebacker ever. Yeah.
Safety.
It'd be hard to say anybody but Ronnie Lott.
Yes. How about that, BG? Ronnie Lott. Corner.
I'd say it'd be hard. It'd be hard for anybody to ever be better than Rod Woodson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rod Woodson, I think the safety at the end when he went to Baltimore. But Rod Woodson, to this day, is maybe one of the nicest guys you ever meet.
Yeah, he's a gem.
I've never had a conversation with Rod Woodson where I didn't learn something about the game of football. Even to this day.
That's fabulous. That's fantastic. I got to tell you, I love these exercises, going back and just hearing, the love of the game. It always goes back to the player. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you before we get out of here, the premonition. Tell me about the premonition, the poolside premonition, where you go deep and down in the water and come up with a thought.
Well, like I'm coming back from this, this tricep surgery. So my arm's getting better. So, swimming is a big part of, the recovery. So it's getting better. So I was in a pool the other day. And when you swim, it's sort of meditative. Swimming's always, I've been swimming since I was 6. So I've always been a long distance swimmer my whole life. So you get in the water and you start swimming, your mind just starts wandering. It could be about anything. But the other day I'm swimming and, you're just trying to take your mind off the exercise, whatever. And I'm thinking, what team is out there that is sort of under the radar? Everybody always wants to know who's the team that could do what Houston did last year. And like I have a lot of respect for Shane Steichen as a coach. Like I think Shane Steichen is a really very talented offensive coordinator. And I think he's got the right makeup to be a good coach. And I just think Anthony Richardson is a star. He's going to be a star in this league. Like, I don't know if he's going to be Lamar the star, but I think he's going to be a star. He's a great guy. He's really into the game. And I just look at this team and I go, they beat Houston last year with him. They actually whipped Houston with Anthony Richardson. And Jonathan Taylor is back. Last year he was in a contract dispute. He didn't even want to be there. He's an elite runner. The offensive line returns intact. Just stuff. I go, this division has gotten a lot better. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has got a big contract. It felt like it just hit me. Like maybe the Colts are a team that nobody's paying attention to. That's what hit me in that premonition.
I like it. I like the premonition, the horseshoe. It's funny, Richardson, when he was at Florida, you loved this. I kept waiting for him to blossom. He never really got. He had like he made a couple incredible plays, had a couple great games, but he was very, up and down in college. Yeah. And before he got hurt, he was playing some great football, man.
Well, he played. He got hurt in the second game. He got concussed or whatever. He got hurt and didn't miss the rest of the season, his 4th game. But you watch him play, and, we're talking about a guy at 6'4", 245 pounds that runs a 4.4. I mean, we've never seen anybody like this. But what surprised me was how accurate he was with the ball and different type of throws and how they were building the offense around him. And I saw Shane Steichen like weeks later after he went on injured reserve. And I just said, what was I seeing, Coach? Like, am I seeing a guy that can do this at a very high, consistent level? Or is this just like a small sample that maybe I got fooled? He goes, no, this guy can do it at a high level.
That's interesting.
So, yeah. So I don't think he was just saying that. I don't think he was just giving them platitudes. Like, I think this guy has a chance, even though he's had very limited playing, experience. I think this guy has a chance.
I love it. Great stuff as always. And you, of course, never disappoint. Willie Mays story, spectacular. There's someone out here right now on their shelf has a Willie Mays signed baseball that
Baldy keep that
signed.
I don't want too many people to know that, but yeah. So, for you, cuz I'll tell the story.
It's fabulous. I love you, brother. You're the greatest. Yeah. All right. See you soon, pal.
You got it, cuz. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me, buddy. All the best.
The great Baldy. He's the greatest, man. He's absolutely fantastic.
We all silly like the mayor.